Hello YouTube and welcome to yet another installment of my Dota 2 strategy series, and this time I'm going to be covering one of the edgiest heroes in the game, Terrorblade, one of the hardest carries, big, fearsome, awesome demon, and pretty cool guy all around. Well, depending on your perspective, this guy could be your absolute nightmare, especially if you played ranked in patch 6.8, but that's beside the point. We're going to be talking about how to play Terrorblade effectively, and a key point that I want to emphasize about this video is I'm going to be talking a lot about general carry theory, and how you should really be approaching your game if you choose to play heroes like this. Terrorblade by himself is actually relatively straightforward to play, so a big emphasis about this video is I want to talk about how you should be prepared whenever you play a hero like this, and how you kind of need to build a team around heroes that fill this kind of role, especially Terrorblade. So, a big point that I want to drive home right away is that Terrorblade is one of the hardest carries in the game, arguably absolutely one of the top tier carries. It's very, very hard to scale harder than this guy. And for that reason, I feel that Terrorblade is balanced. He's balanced out by the fact that Terrorblade has a cripplingly weak early game, for the most part, depending on how your lanes go, and Terrorblade has an extremely hard time catching up if you fall behind. I want to quickly make the comparison to other hard carries like Gyrocopter and Luna, and the fact that they have the ability to flash farm creep waves and do have some capacity to catch up if they're behind. They also have abilities that can have some amount of utility even if your farm is not so good. For example, Luna's Eclipse and Gyrocopter's Call Down and Flat Cannon, and especially Rocket Barrage, can still have quite a bit of impact even if they're behind themselves. Terrorblade does not have such luxuries, and unlike hard carries like Anti-Mage and Spectre, Terrorblade has no inherent escapability. Absolutely none. So Terrorblade is helpless if you get caught out. So, all that being said, I like Terrorblade, even though everything I said is going to make it sound like I really don't like the hero. I would not be making a video over him if I did not enjoy playing him in some capacity. So, ideally, when you're playing as Terrorblade, you want to be running a tri-lane. This is good experience if you're playing with a group of friends and you want to learn how to tri-lane effectively, because Terrorblade actually does work really well with a tri-lane. Two of Terrorblade's skills, Reflection and Metamorphosis, make very, very good use of this. So before I start talking too much more about just general carry theory, which again is going to be a major point of this video, I want to quickly go over Terrorblade's skills and how each of them work. So, Reflection got a massive nerf in patch 6.81. This used to be a 5-second slow from level 1 onwards. It's now only a 2.5-second slow. That's a huge, huge change. Really, really, really big difference. We want to go for a level 1 kill here, but that's a terrible mistake on his part. I don't think I need to explain why. If the Crystal Main was out and lane farther, or even the Necrolite, the idea is that the Wraith King or the Lion uses one of their stuns, and then the other one follows up with their stun, and then ideally I use my slow and we're able to kill them. This is best done at level 2 due to the graces of Metamorphosis, but yeah, we're not going to get a kill here because he doesn't have enough for a stun. So, things are moving pretty quick here. We're trying to go for kills, but we're approaching it in a really poor fashion. Our mana's now low. They are very well aware that we're running the tri-lane now. The ideal scenario is that the lane meets, like say roughly about right here. You have your tri-lane supports, or at least one of your tri-lane supports over here on the side. They come in from behind like this, stun. The other support follows up with his stun. You follow up with your Reflection, and you get a kill. Okay, let's slow down a minute. This is best done if you happen to have level 2 and you have Metamorphosis. Before I start my discussion on that, though, I do want to go ahead and quickly talk and finish my thoughts on Reflection. The way that Reflection works is pretty cool. It generates an untargetable illusion that cannot be hit by any abilities or take any damage. I believe that the actual mechanic is called a Phantom Illusion, which is kind of cool. It inhibits a very strong 60% movement slow and a base 60 attack speed slow. So this is actually pretty nice, and it scales relatively well. You can see it goes from a 22 to 10 second cooldown as you level it up, which is kind of nice. You're going to see me use this here. I use my Reflection, and I pop my Metamorphosis immediately to make sure that I can do as much damage as possible to the Necrolite. We are able to get a kill, but our Wraith King also dies in the process, which is completely unnecessary. There's no reason that any of us should be dying in this lane, really under any circumstances. And if it seems I'm being hard on the Wraith King, this is purely just for educational purposes, and I want to teach people how you should be approaching these kind of scenarios and the mistakes that we're making. That's always a key point of my videos. So if you feel like I'm being hard on a particular player, it's not a personal thing, it's just that I really want to show how to properly go about setups like this, so that you can have more success with them yourself. So, Metamorphosis, man, there's a lot to talk about with this ability, but with Reflection, I still recommend leaving this at level 1 for a long time. My opinion on this may change as patch 6.81 kind of levels off, but the classic build for Terrorblade is you want to max your Metamorphosis followed by your Conjure Image, because these two abilities are what allows you to essentially do the most damage and have the most utility, because Terrorblade lacks utility by a huge amount. The 5.5 second slow at level 4 is really nice, but there's a few problems with this, which I'm going to touch on actually as I cover the rest of his skills. But that's the basis of this. There's nothing that's going to stop Reflection. It's kind of cool against Faceless Void because it will go through his Chronosphere. The illusion will persist through that. And not only that too, but the illusion doing 70% damage is quite respectable. If you cast this on a hard carry as the game goes on, this can actually truly be their own worst enemy, which is kind of cool, so I like that. My team is actually able to get a kill by themselves down here, which is quite nice. That does help quite a lot. This is giving me quite a bit of space just to farm, move about, do my own thing. Conjure Image. This skill is really straightforward. It simply generates an illusion to Terrorblade. That's it. And the damage scales quite well, from 30% to 60%. Generally, you use this ability for a lot of different purposes. Use it for farming, use it for scouting, use it for juking out enemies, use it when you're under your Metamorphosis form to generate more ranged illusions is really, really nice. You're going to see me use this ability throughout the game, and I'm going to explain how I'm using it and the utility that you can get out of it. It's very, very useful. Metamorphosis, this, even though Sunder is Terrorblade's ultimate, I feel that Metamorphosis, and the fact that it's on a 140-second cooldown, this is almost more of an ultimate than even Sunder is. Trying to go for a kill here. Don't think we're going to get it, unfortunately. But that's okay. Actually, no, it's not okay. And the reason I say that is because Metamorphosis is on a 140-second cooldown. That's huge. Whenever Terrorblade has this ability on cooldown, your overall effectiveness diminishes massively. It's huge. This ability, it lets you stay in a 550 range form for quite a long time. It scales from 40 to 52 seconds from level 1 to 4, and it gives you 20 to 80 base damage. I really want to emphasize the base damage part. You'll notice right now I have 100 damage. This is important because it adds to my base damage, not as a plus damage modifier, like, say, a straight damage item would. This is very important because at Terrorblade's core, he is an illusion hero. Whenever you have abilities or items that give you base damage, it means your illusions are going to benefit directly from that. So, if I cast my Metamorphosis right now, gain my 40 bonus damage to give me 100 damage, my illusions are also going to have 100 damage. Granted, they only deal 30% of that, so they're dealing 30 damage, but they would not be doing that if it was 60 plus 40. I hope that makes sense. The main point I want to drive home here is that the fact that this does add base damage makes the ability extremely powerful. This is a very, very strong ability. But it's on a 140-second cooldown. It's agonizing having this on cooldown as Terrorblade. There is almost no chance we can get a kill in this lane right now, especially being as low health as I am at the moment. Matter of fact, I had to ferry myself some regional. Notice I ferried myself a healing salve and also a bracer from the fountain. It's that critical. Like, my health is that bad. It's a tough life. It's really, really tough. I do want to talk about Terrorblade's base attributes a bit, but let's talk about Sunder. So, this ability is really cool, and definitely a signature of the hero. So if you're not familiar with Terrorblade, the way this works is you effectively swap HP with your target. Now, one big point I want to make here is that you can do this on any hero target, so an ally, an enemy, even one of your own illusions. It's really, really strong. So the idea is that if I'm at really low health in a team fight, I can swap HP with a full health target, ideally an enemy. That's going to give me their full health, and the minimum HP swap, you'll notice it scales from 25 to 15%. What this means is that a percentage of health has to remain on the hero. So if I'm at 1 HP, and I swap a hero, it doesn't mean the enemy hero is going to have 1 HP. They're going to have 25 to 15% of their health left after I do the swap. So you can't do like a super cheesy, I have 1 HP and I Shadow Blade in and kill them instantly. They're going to have some HP left. However, the fact that at level 3 it's only 15% is pretty strong. Really, really strong. able to get a pretty nice kill there, which is nice. You were able to see me use reflection to a decent degree. The 2.5 second slow is not that long, but it can still be enough to get a kill. It's nowhere near like it was a patch ago where it was 5 seconds long. Just keep that in mind. A little bit more about Sunder. This does go through magic immunity, so Black King Bar is not going to help you against this ability. It is blocked by Lincoln Sphere, and there's a few key interesting points about this, both Sunder and Reflection. Sunder only has a range of 250. You have to be right up on your target to cast this. That's a really, really important part about it. You can see the enemy team is applying a lot of pressure. This is exactly what you should be doing against a Terrorblade. The more they can delay my farm and ideally kill me, the better the game is going to go for them. So they're actually playing this fairly well. My team is trying to help as best they can. The Bounty Hunter was actually able to come up and respond, and our Pudge is as well. But the fact that they're actually... That was really, really close, Hook. Wow, that was close. The fact that they're applying this much pressure... is impressive, because this is how you should be playing against a Terrorblade. You cannot let him farm. Anyway, Sunder. This does go through BKB. It is blocked by Lincoln Sphere, but this also does interrupt channels. So, for example, if you're playing against a channeling hero like a Witch Doctor or an Enigma channeling their ultimates, you can use this on them and cancel their ultimates immediately. You can use this on allied heroes to pull off clutch saves. I generally don't recommend that, but it can be done. The most straightforward and the most effective way to use this is when you're fighting an enemy hero, or if you've been ganked, is you immediately use this once the crowd control wears off and swap your health with the designated target. Looks like our Pudge was able to get a hook here, so we're going to have a fight going on. Now, what I want you to notice here is with my Metamorphosis down, look how little effect I really have here. I'm dealing nowhere near as much damage as I could if I had my Metamorphosis up. Terrorblade's utility just goes down the hole whenever you don't have your demon form running. It's really quite astounding, and this is a hero that is very, very much tied to your ultimate. I forget who I was listening to, a streamer or a caster, and I apologize that I can't remember, but so my interesting carry theory is take a carry like Phantom Assassin. Phantom Assassin has no abilities that directly tie her, like say, to an ability on a long cooldown. Terrorblade does, to a huge degree. Not even Anti-Mage does, really, because Anti-Mage's Mana Void for his ultimate is not really necessary to teamfight. For Terrorblade, Metamorphosis is 100% absolutely necessary to fight. You cannot fight if you have this ability on cooldown. That's really all there is to it. Again, the reason being is because Terrorblade is extremely squishy, with a very low base HP pool, and a terrible strength gain of 1.4. This was nerfed in the recent patch, 6.81, from 1.9 to 1.4. That may not sound like a lot, but it makes a big difference. That every little bit of health counts with this guy. You'll notice my build is extremely defensive. I have a bracer, and I'm typically staying on strength treads. I still only have 890 HP at this point in the game. The Skeleton King... Wraith King, rather. I still call him Skeleton King. He only has a belt of strength. He has almost 200 more HP than I do. The Pudge, same case. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, only the Bounty Hunter has less health than I do. And that's that's scary. I make a big mistake here, by the way. I should have cast my Reflection on the Crystal Maiden. There's really not much more to be said about that. Just a very, very big prioritization mistake on my part. So make sure you are always focusing the same targets as your team. Definitely a mistake on my part there, but that's okay. Not the end of the world. So Terrorblade's base stats, he starts with the highest armor in the game of 7, which is actually really nice. The fact that you gain 3.2 agility per level, by the way, this is second only to Phantom Lancer. Phantom Lancer gains 4.2, Terrorblade gains 3.2. This means that you're gaining roughly a little under half an armor point per level, and the fact that you start with 7 means your armor is naturally high. So this is a strong point of the hero. You are strong against physical attacks. However, magic nukes, like say playing against a lion, is absolutely killer against this hero. I am definitely in a lot of trouble here. I need to be switching to strength treads immediately. I'm not sure why I didn't there, but that's okay. I was able to get away, which is nice. I used Sunder on somebody, and to be honest, I don't remember doing that, but maybe I'll go back and add an annotation or something. I apologize for that. So Terrorblade's stats are okay, except for his strength. This is why I advocate building extremely, extremely defensively on Terrorblade. I played a game a while back where I had a really good lane, really strong lane. Had over 60 CS at 10 minutes. I even think I was able to get first blood. My farm was exceptional. I picked up a Radiance. Radiance is an item that you will see on a lot of illusion heroes for the fact that it allows you to split push absurdly well with your illusions. And again, at its core, Terrorblade is an illusion hero. It doesn't really get off the ground until a while. You'll see me use a conjure image there. And I'm using that conjure image to simply send him bottom and maybe pick up a little bit more farm. And I'm going to go in TP mid. I was actually going there to try to... I thought the Lion was going to be in a lot of trouble there. Now I might be in a little bit of trouble. Again, another close hook, but no cigar, but that's okay. But you want to use your conjure image just to kind of scout out the map. Get some free farm with it. You're going to see me use it to greater effect once I'm actually able to consistently spam the ability. I'm not doing that quite yet because I don't quite have the mana pool to support it. That'll change here as I gain some levels and get a couple more items. Again, you're going to see I'm maxing Metamorphosis first, and I'm not sure at this point in the game if maxing Reflection is really a viable option. I still think that maxing Conjure Image over Reflection should probably be done in most cases because Conjure Image, it really boosts your damage output. Think of it this way. If you have Conjure Image at level 4, that's 60% damage that your illusions are going to be dealing. Bear in mind that the majority of your damage is going to come from Metamorphosis and stat items. Until the game goes very late, you're not... I generally advise against buying many straight damage upgrades on Terrorblade. For example, like a Daedalus. That is probably like a 5th or a 6th item on this hero. Because using Conjure Image and getting 60% of your base damage, it means that your Metamorphosis illusions are going to hit really hard just for being illusions. And by building defensively, by building strength items, like you see me doing here, it means that my illusions are actually going to be able to stay alive. And it means that I am going to be able to stay alive long enough to hopefully cast Sunder on a target. Now, a point that I think I was trying to make earlier and I got distracted like I usually do, is look how little range Reflection and Sunder have. You'll notice that these two abilities are, I think Sunder is 250 and Reflection is 275. It has very slightly wider range. The problem with this is that Metamorphosis is 550 range. This means that to use these two abilities, you literally have to stop attacking for a moment and walk up to your target. That's generally okay, but that can really make or break things. Sunder, you have to be right up on the target, and it has a roughly half-second cast time, which can be an absolute eternity if you need to get it off really quickly in a clutch teamfight situation. So, I want to talk a little bit more about Terrorblade's itemization. You may have noticed when the game first started that my build was a stout shield with a salve and tangos, and I bought a Quelling Blade immediately from the side shop. The reason that I did that is because Quelling Blade does apply to your illusions. The bonus damage that it gives your illusions, and not to mention just it helps you last hit in lane much better, but this bonus damage actually does go to your illusions, which can speed up your farm quite considerably. So a good way to use Conjure Image here, you're going to see me do this when it comes back off of cooldown. There we go, is use the ability, let your Conjure Image tank for you. Terrorblade with his naturally high agility game means you can clear the jungle quite pretty fast, even without items like Battle Fury, speak of the devil, or Mjolnir or Mask of Madness or items like that. You'll also notice that I'm typically tread switching before I cast my illusion. Tread switching to Int and then casting the illusion means you're going to save out on a lot of mana over the long run. And right now, I'm using the illusions to kind of scout around, give us a little bit more vision, make sure they're not doing something silly like Faceless taking Roshan, something like that. So use your illusions to scout, use them for utility purposes, and use them to help you farm. So for the time being, there's not a whole lot going on. I'm just going to try to grab some safe farm here. And I am intentionally not trying to push this right now. Throwing the boat at me. I'm going to use a drum charge to make sure I have enough speed to walk away from this. Drum of Endurance is a very strong item on heroes like this that naturally need to kind of plug holes. And Terrorblade's main hole is your strength. It's just so bad. God, it's so bad. And the fact that if you don't buy items like this and you're running around with, like, I don't know, 600 HP by this point in the game. It doesn't matter if you can sunder a target and you get your HP back. You have to be able to survive the initial onslaught, especially if you're initiated upon. Terrorblade is a hero that strongly relies on heroes like Pudge, good example right here, strongly relies on initiator heroes to give him a hand here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Reflection to slow down the Kunkka. I use a Drum Charge to try to help the Pudge get away and to give me a slight attack speed boost. So the combo I used there was I used Metamorphosis, immediately followed by a Conjure Image to make sure that I had a little bit more damage output. Apparently the Kunkka's impressed at our play, so good for him. I will take that. Trying to pressure our tower here. I am going to blow Glyph just because I want to be able to get off the deny. Chasing the Disruptor, and I think, yeah, it looks like the Bounty Hunter is going to come in here. I don't know what... Oh, he got glimpsed back. That's what happened. I want to run back and deny this tower. That's arguably a mistake for me. The Bounty Hunter's going to get a kill. I don't think I could have saved him. Maybe. I'm pretty sure he would have died to the Static Storm anyway, but I perhaps got a little bit greedy there, and I wanted to go for the tower deny because that can have much... A tower deny can have much more of a game impact than a hero surviving. And I know that might sound selfish, but it really, really does make a big difference. In a game where we were more ahead, this would be a good time to demonstrate Terrorblade's pushing power. With Metamorphosis and Conjure Image, Terrorblade is an obscenely strong pusher. And that is one way that the hero balances out as well, is that if you do get some farm and get some items, or if the enemy team simply ignores you, good luck with that. But if they do, you are an extremely, extremely proficient pusher, and it can be really nice. Use your Metamorphosis, use Conjure Image, followed by a Mantis Style. And Mantis Style is probably the next thing I want to talk about. It's not safe for me to farm here at all, by the way. But we do have some backup coming in from the rear. Nice Finger of Death, going to kill kill the Crystal Main immediately. I'm finally starting to do a little bit more right-click damage. This is the point in the game. It's about 20 minutes in. We're approaching the mid-game. And even without Metamorphosis, yeah, I can still right-click a bit, but it's important to understand that if I get in trouble, my only saving grace is Sunder. I can't blink out like an Anti-Mage. I can't cast Spectral Dagger like a Spectre can. Terrorblade is a hero that is extremely reliant on your team to initiate for you and peel heroes and stun and silence and keep heroes off your back. Heroes that really synergize well with Terrorblade are heroes that buy time and heroes that can initiate well. Clockwork, Pudge, Puck are all very good examples of this. Heroes that have a reliable initiation so that you don't have to be on the front line. That is extremely critical as this hero, because you don't have the HP pool to do it, and this kind of ties back into more carry theory, but your perceived threat level on the enemy team is so high that you will be focused first every single team fight. So what this means is that you need to have a strong line that you can use to pop your Metamorphosis in the back and deal out ridiculous amounts of damage. The more damage uptime that Terrorblade has, the better off you're going to be. This is a good example of how to use your illusions, by the way. I'm just parking this guy here as kind of a temporary ward, so to speak. I'm sending this guy in their jungle, again, just for more vision. This is a good way to make use of that. Terrorblade solo ulties the Pudge. He's able to deny himself. Pretty sweet. I like that. Now you'll notice here, I'm kind of skirting around the fight. I'm making sure not to run in and like dedicate myself to this, because it only takes the perfect storm of like Kunkka landing a torrent on top of a Crystal Maiden Nova and Faceless Void running up to me and smacking me. The Faceless Void is done well, by the way. He's 2 levels above me. He has a Mask of Madness. He has a Battle Fury and a Hyperstone. This game is not looking terribly good for us. The enemy team is considerably ahead at this point. We have no towers at all. This is arguably a mistake for me, but the idea is that I want to try to push this tower. So I use my Metamorphosis and I throw up a Conjure Image. The problem is right now the enemy team has so much AoE clearing ability and they're so far ahead in terms of gold due to the towers they've taken from us that we can't do anything about this. So in this situation, really the only thing we can do is run away and farm some more. That's what this hero really is all about. It can be boring. It can really be boring, especially if you're frustrated. You're like, man, I want to punish these guys. I want to kill their towers. But you really can't force things as a fragile hero like this. You need to pick your fights and pick them wisely. And now the fact that my Metamorphosis is on cooldown means I'm going to have at least 90 seconds of downtime at the very, very minimum. So that's a minute and a half where I myself really cannot contribute much anything at all to a team fight. Now, to talk a little bit more about Terrorblade's itemization. you'll see I picked up an Ultimate Orb. I believe I did this at a side shop earlier. I'm doing this purely for the stats because I realize right now we're behind. I like to pick up a Yasha over the Ultimate Orb in most cases, but I want the plus 190 strength from the Ultimate Orb, because each point of strength is 19 health. You get 10 strength from the Ultimate Orb. 190 strength is putting me at 110 HP with Agi Treads on. And like the Yasha is nice, and I would build this if we were doing a little bit better. But right now we are actually behind in this game, and we stand a very good chance to lose. So I need to be careful. I need to take more conservative item choices. But I'm going for a Manta Style. Manta Style is one of the this is a core item on Terrorblade. Inarguably, you need to build this item on Terrorblade. So Manta Style gives you a ton of stats, which Illusion Heroes always welcome. Gives you attack speed, which is always great. By the way, oh my god, what is happening here? Okay, another solo ulti on the Pudge. You'll notice that I can't do anything. I can do literally nothing to come in here and help in any way, especially with my Metamorphosis form being down. So that's kind of a shame. But Manta Style is absolutely core on this hero for a couple of reasons. Gives you a lot of stats, which Illusion Heroes always benefit very well off of. Think of heroes like Phantom Lancer and Naga Siren. This item is always great on them. Gives you a little bit more movement speed. The combination of Treads, Drum, and Manta Style ensures that I will have relatively high movement speed throughout the game. This is really important because you have two abilities that require you to close a gap very quickly. I now have 419 movement speed, which is pretty respectable. It's not bad. Not the best in the world, but definitely noticeable. If I'm able to run up on a target and cast Reflection or Sunder on them, it can really make all the difference. But the key thing about Manta Style is the fact that I can use this while under Metamorphosis form and create two very powerful ranged illusions that can deal a lot of damage. That's really, really important. Granted, they only deal 28% damage versus the 60% from Conjure Image, but 28% damage on a very, very high base damage hero is quite respectable, and you're going to see this as the game goes on. There's going to be a couple good uses of Manta Style and how it can be used to dish out a lot more damage, especially when you're pushing towers. This is also a very effective purge, so if they have heroes on the enemy team that have things like silences or slows, Manta Style can save your life by casting the purge. Very, very helpful. Looks like we might finally be able to get a tower here, which is always nice. I always like that, and we desperately need the gold. So we now have 2 towers. That's nice. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the last hit on that, but that's okay. Not the end of the world. And guess what? I'm going to push my illusions down mid, and I'm going to go farm some more. Using your illusions this way to keep lanes pushed out, this essentially buys you time. This is why I'm doing this. I want to try to keep the lanes pushed out so that I can sit in the jungle and try to get more items. I need more gear. If I can farm up, say, like an Eye of Scotty next, odds are I'm actually going to be able to have an impact in this game and possibly carry it. So, that's a mouthful. Take a break for a second, catch my breath, take a quick drink. Oh, that's good. I am drinking Being Cherry energy drink. I love this stuff. There's not too many stores that sell it, actually, but it's really, really, really good. So right now, using my illusion swarm just kind of farm a little bit. I'm using this illusion to scout. Again, you can see how valuable this ability can be. Like, I think he genuinely thought that was me until he started auto-attacking and realizing that it was just an illusion. Matter of fact, I'm actually going to pause here real quick because this is an important concept to talk about. This is really, really important. We currently don't have any wards up in the jungle right here. The enemy team is posturing to try to engage for a tier 2 team fight. Using abilities like Conjure Image, I think this is really important, and something particularly carry players need to think about is that this ability has so much utility, and the fact that we don't have vision right now, this can serve as a temporary ward. It can be used to bait things out. This is critical, and I think what's about to happen here, if I recall, is thanks to this illusion, we're actually able to get vision, and the Pudge is able to get off a hook. So little things like this that might seem insignificant can make or break games. Use your abilities like this, and this doesn't just apply to Terrorblade, by the way. If you're playing other illusion heroes, again, like Phantom Lancer and Naga Siren, use your illusions like this, kind of micro them around the map. Terrorblade is not a terribly micro-intensive hero, but just taking a moment to, throw your illusions around like this can really make a huge difference. It truly can. So I'm running the illusion back in. just to try to keep vision. And the Pudge is posturing up there, and bam, able to get a hook. That's huge for us, able to initiate in the Crystal Main. I am backing up because I cannot be caught in a boat or a Chronosphere. You see, I almost got caught by that there. Faceless Void's jumping on me right now. I'm going to cast Reflection just to slow him down a little bit. Back up, get out of the Static Storm. Now is the time to use Sunder. I use Sunder on the Kunkka to restore my health. This is where Terrorblade finally shines. This is my time. This is where I can actually now do some work. You can see I'm doing a huge amount of damage to this Necrolite, and I really don't have any damage items. I've built almost purely defensively. You don't need to build like a fast crit on Terrorblade. That's absolutely terrible. Don't do that. It's funny hearing myself say that because I always encourage people to modify your builds as the game requires, but Terrorblade, I feel, is actually very, very straightforward in your item build. You really need to build things that are going to give you health and, yeah, build things that give you health. So this is my standard item build in most cases. Now, that being said, I am not going to build Black King Bar every game, but there are definitely merits to building this item. If the enemy team has a lot of lockdown, particularly a lot of instant stuns or silences that are going to give you a really hard time, you need to be aware of that, and you should build a Black King Bar. Now, the counter argument to that to say is, well, Terrorblade is an illusion here. If you use the BKB, it's going to reveal the real illusion. That's true. However, Terrorblade does not operate on the same level as, say, like a Phantom Lancer would, where you will hardly ever want to build a BKB, because Phantom Lancer relies much more on the confusion ability of his mass illusions. Terrorblade relies on generating a few select very powerful illusions. So think of it that way. Build a BKB if you need it. I don't think it's that valuable this game. Reason being is because it's not going to help me against Chronosphere. It will block the damage from Necrolite ulti, which is kind of nice, but the stun will still go through it. It's arguably best against the Disruptor if I get caught in a static field, because if I get caught in a static storm and I'm not able to use any of my abilities, particularly Sunder, I'm in a lot of trouble. Great hook by the Pudge. That's going to be another kill. I need to back up. I have 5 seconds on my Metamorphosis, and until then, I really don't want to fight. I'm making sure to stay far away from that Pudge. I cannot have the Faceless Void jumping and Chronosphere me. That's really, really critical. Enemy team is still kind of posturing for a fight here. Again, I'm using my illusions just to kind of keep the tide back. And you can see the illusions don't deal a whole lot of damage by themselves, but they're pretty tanky, which is nice. And they deal okay damage. They're not... Oh my god, I thought that was actually going to be a successful hook. By the way, I have told my team right now, I am backing to get mana. Do not fight without me. That's very, very important. I don't want to get caught in a team fight and be without mana and not be able to use my abilities. By the way, Sunder is one of the highest scaling abilities in the game. The fact that this goes to a 40-second cooldown and at 0 mana is really, really powerful. It's extremely powerful, and a point that I should have made earlier about the skill. So, picking up a fast level 16 can actually be very, very helpful on this hero. Now, I'm about to make a huge mistake. We know that Terrorblade just grabbed the Aegis of the Immortal and killed Roshan. What this means is that he can jump in from the pit and Chronosphere. And you can see, this is the weakness of Terrorblade. I don't have much health to go around, and I die. Before I was able to even get off Sunder, I died in the duration of the Chronosphere. Faceless Void coming back up. Bounty Hunter in a lot of trouble, unfortunately. Yeah, they do have vision of him as well. So, definitely a very, very bad fight by us, and a positional mistake by me. I think even more so than other carries, Terrorblade requires an enormous amount of awareness of your position and how the enemy team can affect you based on your positioning. I cannot be caught in a Chronosphere or a boat or a static storm with kinetic field, or else the game is probably over. Now, those are good arguments for building a Black King Bar this game. You'll notice that I'm going for an Eye of Skadi. This is one of the few heroes where I would say Eye of Skadi is actually core, and to explain this, especially versus Heart of Tarrasque, Eye of Skadi works really well with Terrorblade because you're able to use the orb effect in your ranged form to really, really extremely strong degree. This slow stacks additively with your reflection slow, so if you get up on a target, you're going to have a ton of illusions hitting for quite a lot, and they're going to be slowed. This move slow and attack slow stacks with reflection. That's really, really important to understand about this. And this gives you a ton of health. It gives you a bunch of health. Close to the same amount that a Heart of Tarrasque actually gives you. which is nice, but I feel that this item is superior to Heart for the reason that this gives you the slow, and it gives you a lot. Your damage output increases exponentially whenever you pick this up, and your survivability goes through the roof. You finally don't have to worry about exploding instantly when you pick up an Iascati. I highly recommend this item on Terrorblade. There's not too many other heroes in the game that I would. I think that Slark might be one of them. There might be a couple more. They don't immediately come to mind. I'll think of them later, I'm sure. But Iascati is really, really great on this hero. The fact that you do go into range form kind of adds an interesting dynamic to him, in the fact that like you don't want to build items like Diffusal Blade. See what happens here first. I'm making sure I really don't want to run in here and commit. I can't afford to do that, especially when the Bounty Hunter is down. To speak about other orb effects, I think that Helm of the Dominator can be a fine choice, especially considering how much damage you do. I think that's fine. Picking up the Lifesteal Orb is quite good, but the fact that you can't go items like Diffusal Blade, because in your range form you're not going to be able to get the mana burn from that. So keep that in mind whenever you're thinking of items to build on Terrorblade, is that you do go into range form, and that is going to affect what kind of orb effects that you can get. So, and I don't think that Heart is a mistake, but I feel like Eye of Scotty offers you a comparable amount of HP, but it gives you a lot more damage. And I think that's the key thing about it. The fact that enemies are slowed so much by it gives it a lot more value than Heart of Tarrasque does. Unlike, say, on Anti-Mage, where Heart of Tarrasque is essentially a default item, for the main reason, of course, that your built-in mana break is already your orb effect. But enough about enough about Heart of Tarrasque. A couple other things I want to talk about with illusions is that you'll notice that as I've played throughout the game, I'm using my illusions to push out waves. I'm using them to farm the jungle for me. You always, as the game goes on, you don't want to have this ability on cooldown, hardly ever. You probably notice that I've used this anytime it is off a cooldown, because these illusions can actually have a huge effect. If you're playing a game where you're fortunate enough to get a Radiance and actually not die instantly because you don't have any HP, sending Radiance illusions down a lane is crazy good. Think of it the same as like why Naga Siren builds a Radiance, for that exact same reason. Sending the illusions down the lane can be so strong and push it really strongly. You'll notice here I've swapped out my teleport scrolls for an ultimate orb. I feel like a huge fight is about to happen, and I didn't sell my teleport scrolls because I still want them, but I feel like a fight's about to break out, and I want to have every edge that I can get. Little things like this that might seem insignificant are not. They're actually quite huge. And another big point I want to talk about is that Terrorblade is actually a very, very weak buyback and Aegis holder, because you're tied to your Metamorphosis. If you die and you have the Aegis of the Immortal on you, you're not going to be able to go back into your Metamorphosis form. If you buy back after dying, after using Metamorphosis, you're obviously not going to be able to cast it again. Terrorblade is so tied to this ability. Not to say he's useless as the game goes on, especially as you get items, because yeah, you right-click like a beast, but you're just so much more effective in your range form. That's the main point that I want to drive home there. So it's interesting, because you are the hard carry, and like you want to pick up the Aegis, but this is actually probably a point that I want to pause, because this is an extremely critical part of the game. I make a big mistake here. I have my Iascati finish that I finished from the side shop, which is great, but the problem is that I did not get my teleport scrolls on the courier and send them to me. What's happening now is that a fight is about to break out and I'm not there. That's bad. Things like this that might not seem like huge mistakes at a glance can be completely game-ending. They really can be. I won't give spoilers, but a fight does break out here, and the fact that I do not have a teleport scroll does have a huge impact on this. So let's go and see how this turns out. So I'm running up here as fast as I can, because I know a fight's about to break. That's a hook on the Necrolite here. So coming into this fight, there's a couple things I want to consider. I want to go ahead and use my range form to go and get into that. I'm going to pop my Mantis style, and now is the time to start right-clicking. My team has bought me enough time and has bought me enough space to allow me to come in here and actually do some damage. This is not always how it's going to work out. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that. My team could have all just died right there. But the fact that they were able to hold the line and I'm able to clean up is huge for us. So even though I was able to get a sweet ultra kill there and it looks like I won the game, that's not the point. The point is that my team was able to soak up enough damage for me in the amount of time for me to walk up there and help them. And as a matter of fact, like in that particular case, me teleporting on the tower could have actually been a huge negative, especially if they hadn't blown Chronosphere yet. He could have actually just chronoed the tower and killed me as soon as I arrived. But in that particular case, I am very glad that we had two very strong strength heroes, that absorbed the brunt of the damage for us. Now, here's a demonstration of Terrorblade's pushing power. Towers melt under Terrorblade, which is pretty awesome. And again, I want you to note that I have a huge base damage. I have not purchased any items that give me direct plus damage, like a Crystallis. I pick up a Talisman of Evasion here for purely for the Faceless Void. That's really the only reason I bought this. I intend to turn this into a butterfly, but my thought process here is that instead of buying the Eagle Song for the plus 25 agility, I want a little bit more survivability. If I'm able to dodge some of his attacks while in the Chronosphere, I might be able to survive long enough to get off Asunder when the Chronosphere ends. Taking a look at Faceless Void's build, he's pretty scary. He's got his Daedalus up, Battle Fury, Mask of Madness, and a Hyperstone, and Mjolnir is done as well. This is very effective against my illusions. I actually like his build here. What is he doing? What? I have no idea what he just did there. I'm actually kind of curious now. So he changed his mind, I guess? He didn't want the Mjolnir. Mjolnir is a great pickup this game. That is a direct counter to illusion heroes. If you're facing a hero like a Terrorblade or a Phantom Lancer, buy a Mjolnir, because the lightning procs and the lightning shield, whenever I hit him, that's going to kill my illusions really quickly. I don't know what this player's thought process here, but I would say this is a pretty huge mistake by him. Maybe he wants to have buyback money, I'm really not sure, but I don't like that decision at all. I really don't. So, while Terrorblade is really awesome, a lot of players have trouble against this hero because I feel like in lower skill games, players aren't able to apply enough pressure. And you'll notice right now, I'm still pretty relaxed. I'm not just barreling down the lane like, yeah, let's go in the game. Yeah, it's our time. I'm still farming. That's all I'm doing. Using my illusions to take out creep camps for me. I can casually walk to the creep wave. I need more money. I want to finish my butterfly. I'm very, very close. Once I get up that butterfly, that's to the point where, yeah, I definitely am ready to fight. And maybe as a next item, a Black King bar, just purely for some survivability and so I don't get blown up by like a really unfortunate static storm or something like that. Because at this point, I feel as if I have all the damage I need. And all I really need to do is stay alive. Now, if you have trouble versus this hero, and I know a lot of people do, I feel like that the balance changes to him in patch 6.81 are going to alleviate a lot of the issues that people were having with Terrorblade. But if you're having trouble versus this guy, you need to think of what gives Terrorblade trouble, and there are a few things in particular. I want to say one of the number one things are silences. That might sound odd because, well, who cares if he's silenced if he's just going to right-click you to death? The reason silences are valuable is because if you're actually able to do enough damage to kill the Terrorblade, he cannot cast Sunder. Remember, Sunder is not blocked by magic immunity, so the only thing that stops this is Terrorblade being silenced or stunned. That's very, very important. So heroes like heroes that build Orchid, like Storm Spirit, Queen of Pain, are good examples of that. Silencer, Skywrath Mage are very effective against this hero. Skywrath Mage is really good against this hero. By the way, this is a neat little trick you can do with your illusions. Just build an illusion, park it right next to Roshan, let the illusion tank for you. I don't see a lot of players do things like this, but it really helps. It can make a difference. I do decide to pick up the Aegis of the Immortal. Truthfully, we have really, really poor holders on our team for the item. Like, no hero on our team is really all that great. The Skeleton King especially. Before I got glimpsed back, thankfully I was able to cast the Reflection to do a little bit more damage here. Now, a positioning mistake by me is I'm opening myself up for a Chronosphere right here. He hasn't dropped it quite yet. I'm trying to right-click him as hard as I can. Now, you'll notice that even though he's right-clicking me right now, I'm not taking enough damage to actually die to it. He died, by the way, which is always nice. And that's probably going to be game. So this is what happens against a really farmed Terrorblade, is you reach a point of capitulation. That's what I like to call it, where GG Terry, we should have pushed, where that happens, where you just become too much of a presence and the enemy team is unable to stop you. This is how the hero works. If you like playing heroes like this, where, yeah, your early game can be really, really tough, and if you fall behind, you're probably going to lose. But if you're able to play well, And by the way, I think my team played really well this game. Even though our scores may not be all that amazing, our team fight at top, where we were able to wipe them, I think my team played this really, really well, and I owe my victory to them more than anything. Not my farming ability, which to be honest is really not all that great. It's okay, like I know to play the hero to a decent degree, but you are relying on your team really to make the plays for you. That's a really, really important thing to consider. Other good counters to Terrorblade if you're having trouble versus this hero is think of him just like any other illusion hero. So like Earthshaker is extremely good against this guy. Heroes with strong AoE abilities like Queen of Pain, Necrolite, I think is actually quite effective. Outworld Devourer, I think is really good against this hero as well. Or heroes that have really, really long lockdowns to where a Terrorblade can't cast Sunder. That's the key thing. Don't let him cast Sunder. Save a stun or save a silence for when Terrorblade is low, and then use it so that he can't get it off. So heroes like a Legion Commander, using a duel on Terrorblade can be really effective. Ancient Apparition is incredibly good versus this hero. Reason being is because if you're under the effect of AA ulti, you're not going to be able to cast Sunder and regain your health. I pick up kind of a casual Black King bar here. Yes, I sold my drum. I hate doing that. But I pick up a Black King bar here, honestly, just to make sure we don't get like gimmick killed. I want to securely end this game. And we're going to push in bottom lane now and accomplish that now. So Black King bar is really just here so that I don't get caught in a Static Storm or a boat and somehow like the Faceless Void crits me 4 times in a row and I die. That's the main reason that I bought that item. I feel like going for something like a Daedalus is just pure greed, and I don't need more damage. I'm doing plenty of damage as it is. That was pretty much a free kill on him, so that's nice. Now, if you're wondering how to lane against Terrorblade, the Necrolite Crystal Maiden was quite poor because they went up against our tri-lane, and even though we didn't play our tri-lane very well, we were able to get a kill, sure, but we made a lot of mistakes, and they're great hook, by the way. That's going to be a kill for sure. But if you're having trouble against this hero, really strong off-lane heroes are direct counter to this guy. So if you're not sure what heroes are good for that, you need to think of heroes like Timbersaw, Darkseer, crushes Terrorblade. Because all you have to do is Ion Shell the Creep Wave, and guess what? Terrorblade can't farm. Really, really hurts. I just decided to go ham here, pop all my illusions. I'm not afraid of being Chronosphered at this point. Really don't care, to be honest. Walking in here and just, yeah, just time to kill things. I pop a BKB. I really didn't need to, but I do anyway, just in case they do decide to go on me, and that's definitely going to be game. And you can see just how slow targets are and how much damage you do with the Eye of Scotty. It's really, really helpful. Alright, and that is going to be over. So that's Terrorblade in a nutshell. But to resume what I was talking about with counters to this guy, I feel like heroes like Centaur are good. Phoenix is really good versus this guy. Strong offlaners. Weaver, that's another one. So think of things like that. Like there are plenty of ways to counter this here. And if you've had trouble versus Terrorblade, you need to understand that Terrorblade is a hero that has absolutely no ability to catch up if he's behind. And really, the only way that you're going to really solidly win a game is if you have a strong early game and your team is able to keep you safe. That's what Terrorblade's all about. The ultimate carry. You need to play with heroes that are going to buy you time. Pudge is a good example. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful and expect more soon. Take care.